You are now listening to the Meat Pies podcast, your podcast for most things footy and few things pie. This is Gabe. Got an injured, shortened squad today. Got four keepers on the bench. Got Paul in the week, who I'm joined by. No Forrest, no Nico this week, but you know what? We got big, broad shoulders, and we're ready to carry this podcast. Huge episode today involving all things hashtag Ole out and hashtag Mo Salah Mo problems. But first, Paul, how you doing, boss?
For any strictly audio listeners, I'm covering my United badge. I came into today with low expectations, and we can talk about this more later. But I was laughing. I legitimately, I'm not even joking. Like I was like laughing in like the 10th minute. I'm like, okay, well, at top of the morning. But yeah,
Top
It
of
is
the
a
morning,
laugh.
top of the morning, top of the
top of the
morning,
morning.
top of the morning,
Mo Salah be like top of the morning.
top of the morning.
Oh god.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I guess let's just
Let's just run into it.
get in it. Yeah, why don't we? Well, the week will like where we're starting out. Because Matchday 9 began with a big win for Corin De Bruyne, led Arsenal against a middling Aston Villa side. Then Saturday featured showings of respective and predictable crap, apart from the big boy Champions League finalists Chelsea and City, who made Norwich and Brighton respectively look like Washington Generals B and C teams. However, it was Sunday that was packed with all of the drama as Brentford and the Moneyball Bees hosted Braj, Vardy, and Leicester City. Yuri Tielemans,
Data and analytics. Sorry, I just had to say it. Data analytics.
Moneyball. Yuri Tielemans yelled Jimmer as he so often does before opening the scoring from way downtown for Leicester City, but the Bees fought back with set pieces and long throw-ins, nagging, pestering, and eventually stinging the Foxes with one of those signature set pieces and a header from Matthias Jorgensen, or as written on the back of his shirt, Zanka. However, the Foxes got the last laugh with a lethal counter, finish off with a tap in for Grealish Light, aka James Madison. The win takes Leicester into ninth, 3 points off the top four. I really cannot read right now, boys. I am sorry.
It's okay.
At the same time, must have been that one 3.7% cask ale I had before coming on this pod about
this
an
guy
hour and a
outside
half
is
ago.
in your head. That's what's happening.
I'm
He's
rattled.
you're just thinking about how you could have opened the garage and gotten the ball.
Yeah.
For not to give context, I'm sitting here in Edinburgh in the Environmental Carbon Change Institute, something like that. I might butcher that, ECCI, and yeah, these two just absolute boys are sitting drinking outside, having a couple beers, tossed their tennis ball into the bike garage. Like I can just magically open that up for them, tapping on the glass, trying to get my attention. Yeah, unfortunately for them, their doggos out of a tennis ball at the moment. But yeah, the rundown, it soldiers on. And also earlier today, recording on Sunday, same time as the Brentford match, other side of London though, Tottenham traveled a couple miles out to West Ham, where they looked to keep their form at London Stadium. Match was tight and edgy. Son whiffed in a key one-on-one opportunity with Fabianski, Spurs' father, just like Luke did, and Mikel Antonio went full Han Solo and fired the hammers to victory with precision and style. But the biggest match of the weekend was without a doubt a showdown that saw Klopp take his freaks down to the circus at Old Trafford. This iteration of the biggest match in English football between Liverpool and Manchester United took place under a canopy of booze as United conceded early, late, and every moment in between. The freaks played tricks on that United backline all evening as Luke Shaw could do nothing but grab at the shadows of Salah and end up with circus peanuts in his palms. Luke Shaw's favorite snack, I might add. Pogba came on and did his greatest disappearing act yet, quickly getting dismissed for a bad challenge, the only United midfielder to look up and see red all day. However, Sir Alex won't be too disappointed as United's greatest ringleader, Ronaldo, had a thrilling 90 minutes of standing at the top of a box and gesticulating. In the end, it finished 5-0 to Liverpool, and Ole finished a special career in Manchester. Okay, maybe not official yet. Ole not quite all the way out yet, but
I just saw
yeah,
an interesting tweet that was rumors that the board is meeting with him right now.
probably another vote of confidence, if we're being honest. But
No, it's probably nothing. But we like the rumors. We like the violence here.
well, I mean, I guess
who tweeted that?
Good question.
Right.
One of those
Sean
credible.
Burner.
One of those random ass what's it called? Like United bloggers.
The Spider 234 repping AWB. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I guess there's no real other place to start. We'll get to how fantastic Liverpool is, but I have my own feelings on if Ole should still be managing United. But I think we must hear from the man himself, our very own Paulinho. Where you at?
I mean, I feel like it's been we've talked about this a couple different times, and it's like everyone's like, oh, Ole manages to like save his job right when he's on the brink. But there's like a hidden layer to that where it's like his job is always on the brink. It's because he like doesn't know what he's doing. Like he just seems so out of it. In every big match, he seems so tactically like out of his depth. And I'm not even like, you can be a good manager and lose bad. Like it happens, right? I feel like we don't ever win games. I think we were talking about this recently. Like we don't ever win games because we like have a tactical advantage. We only ever win because we have talent and we have like moments of brilliance, right? And when you have a roster like Ole does, it's kind of unacceptable to like not like lose. Like I'm not even that mad at the result because like it like is gonna probably get Ole sacked. But the fact that like week in and week out, you can play without any identity in the team with all of this talent and like there's no patterns, there's nothing, like there's no team oriented positivity coming from the side. And like Ole, I will say Ole has done a lot for the club. Like he has people like playing for the badge. Like 2 years ago, like nobody was really playing that hard. Like he has integrated like a ton of youth into the team, which has been great. And he's like brought out great form in some players, but like it just isn't enough. If we want to take a step to the next level, like we need someone who actually has a philosophy, and he just doesn't.
Yeah, for your wage bill that you guys have, you need to be doing so much better.
Seriously.
I was thinking about this because I mean, yeah, like it's like you watch United and you watch their style of play, and there isn't a style of play, there is no identity. And I do think when it comes to Ole, I never really understood until today. I never really understood all this talk about like, oh, he's like a weak manager, right? I don't know how like as an observer and like someone who just watches soccer, how I can look at him and be like he's weak. Today I feel like it kind of culminated and I was like, hold on. I understand why people call him a little bit weak and kind of like he doesn't have a backbone as a manager, because why are you letting like Ronaldo kick Curtis Jones on the fucking ground, right? And why are you letting him have so much say? And it's not even like I don't know what's happening between them on the field, right? But it's so evident that this is not United for United, it's United for Ronaldo, and Ronaldo's not Ronaldo's not in it for United either, right? There's like this huge disconnect, and Ole doesn't know how to manage that. I don't know, a lot of sort of like elusive thoughts that I have, but all I can say is, what? It was just such a shocking result, but also not really that shocking. I didn't ever think that United was really going to challenge this match, but I didn't think that it would fall apart this quickly. Was not expecting Slab to have back-to-back like really garbage games. And yeah, I don't know. Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, I think like, obviously there are sort of levels to, how adept different Premier League managers, different managers around the world are at tactics. And tactics are one thing, there are definitely levels to it in the Premier League, but you don't, I think we've seen, you don't have to be the most tactically brilliant manager ever to get results. So, I definitely agree, like whether it's tactics, identity, something has to be consistent. But biggest thing for me is that we live in this era now of optics, of social media, of television, of high definition cameras, and a million different camera angles. And Ole's optics are just awful, like the worst I've seen for a manager. It's almost like a joke every single weekend. It's almost like I was just pulling this up. I was trying to remember who it was. Like, so I guess in the I think it was the 1960 presidential election. It was like Kennedy, Nixon, and Nixon had a big lead in the polls, and then it was like the first ever televised presidential debate, and Nixon looked like disheveled and sweaty and out of control, and Kennedy's like slick and smooth and young, and like his skin's all tight and everything. And that's just what like Ole makes me think of. Like if nothing was televised and we only listened to games on the radio and there wasn't Twitter and there wasn't Instagram and everything, I think my feelings about Ole would be a little different. But just the fact that every time the opposition scores and there's like this camera shot of Ole looking like, I don't know, like he literally just took like 17 tabs of acid and it all hit him at once. Like, and he just like found himself standing on like the touchline, like like they pulled him out of the crowd and he's like so lost beyond belief. It's just a bad look, like week after week after week. And it's one thing when you're like the manager of a championship side, or like you're, like local community college or something. But when you're the manager of Manchester United, the biggest arguably club in the world, with the biggest star playing for you, and you look so completely lost, like there's just no salvaging that for me. There's even if you then like become tactically better, have an identity, whatever, there's, I think, nothing for me personally. I'm not a United fan, so I couldn't tell you, but I can't imagine for like so many United fans as well, anything that could really salvage this relationship for them in terms of having actual confidence in Ole. I don't know.
Yeah.
No,
That's how I
never.
feel.
Literally never.
Yeah. Also, I kind of remembered a bit of my thought, but
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting to see how this is going to pan out with the board at United, because like we talked about this last week, their transfer strategy this summer was just like, what do the shareholders want? What do the fans want? What can we bring in that's going to make a lot of money? And like nothing full super against that. I mean, the Ronaldo signing was just that, right? But Sancho, we talked about the Sancho signing. Varane was a fantastic signing, no doubt, besides what the shareholders want, besides what the fans want. But it's kind of clear that the fans kind of want Ole out. And the board has kind of been like over and over again, giving him all these chances. And I mean, it's like, I see a lot of parallels in some ways with Arsenal last year and United this last year, because the board kept being like, oh, we're going to stick with Arteta, we're going to give him a transfer window. Gave him a transfer window, he's kind of performing. I don't know. Ole's had like 3 transfer windows at this point and has not lived up to that expectation. For a team like United, it is kind of wild how much they've been willing to stick with him.
No, I think a lot of it has to do with him like being a former player, right? And like kind of like a cult legend at the club. I think there are, I mean, it just demonstrates like kind of goes to show how like terrible the Glazers are to a certain point because they're like, we don't really care if we're winning games. Like we just made 50 mil off of shirt sales, like from Ronaldo, right? So a lot of it comes down to Ole not being fit to coach this team, but it's also like the Glazers aren't willing to like they're not going to pull the trigger on letting him go. I have a couple things to say. First about optics, Gabe. Like you're so right, and it's honestly laughable how much Ole. Like we were talking about this before the pod. Like he literally looks like Smeagol. Like he looks like Gollum on the touchline looking for my precious. Like, and
Needs
that's like
sleep.
literally 1 point is my precious, and he can't find it. Like
The one goal,
a first half lead.
yeah, literally not conceding in the first 15 minutes.
the one goal from Ronaldo that got some major VAR cheese. He's just like,
Oh,
my
even
precious.
that
Oh,
little bit. No, didn't think
we
so.
can't have it.
But his optics are so bad. But I also think there's like truth. Like they're not bad by random. And if he was actually was able to perform and string together really good tactical performances, I don't think the optics would be bad. I think it's like a reflection of his performance almost. Like I can't think of a manager that has terrible optics that is a really good manager, right? There are some managers that have really good optics that might not be great, but you're not really a great manager and have bad optics. I have not seen an example of that like pretty much ever. The other thing I was going to say is I might have completely forgot, but I think that like going off of optics, I'm on Luik's level right now. Going off of optics,
I'm
like
right there with y'all.
it's so laughable, like looking at him on the touchline every single week, and you're just like, does this guy even like? Does he have like someone like? Can he even drive here? Like he literally looks like he should be escorted out, you know? But then
And
again,
Foss.
I remember what I was going to say is about Ole's performance generally. Like I think a lot of United fans are calling for him to go because like his performances have been really bad, and like we're all starting to realize like tactically it's just not there, right? But I think we all always kind of knew like he was never gonna win us like the Champions League. Like he was never really gonna win the league for us. Like he has never shown that he is that caliber of a manager. And to be honest, I don't really think that was. I think Ole's job was like to get us to where we are now, right? I don't think we'll ever go further than that with him. And I'm not even sure the vision was to go further than that with him. So I don't know why he would stay past this.
What even was the vision in the first place, though?
Well, so when
Yeah.
Ole came in, I think it actually was a good vision. I think that like I would consider Ole to be like up until this year like a semi successful manager for us for a couple of reasons because like I think I think what Ole brought to United was like that like Sir Alex feeling of like this is a club that can do big things, right? He brought that mantra, and I think he brought like a lot of passion that was really missing with like the previous managers. Like even Mourinho didn't really have it the same way. Um, and I think by him doing that, he is like inspired maybe the board, maybe fans, maybe I don't even know what it is to like go out, and we've had like a really good transfer window. I know Louis kind of hates on it, but like you can't argue that our last transfer window was bad. Like we signed amazing players, right? Um, that wasn't really happening without Ole, and they weren't like clicking there. Like we had good signings, but they weren't clicking the same way. Um, I think Ole brought like a lot of intangible things outside of success. And to me, that was the vision behind hiring him. because he was never a world-class manager before, and he still isn't, obviously, right? The big problem arises, like Loic, you were saying, when we now realize, okay, we know he's not up to standard, okay, but we're going to just hang on to him because he's a good lad and we like him,
I
right?
don't know. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that like he should have been sacked before this or this year. I
I
think there
don't
was
ever.
like some sort of trajectory towards this moment. But I do think now kind of is the right time. The issue though is that while I think you're right about the initial vision, and I think Ole has like brought good vibes to the club, which is important, which is like I agree with you, like very important. Like I know I say that like kind of jokingly, but I'm serious, like actually is what United needed. The issue though is that the board has then now backed him to like build a massive project when he clearly isn't that guy, which then on like a bigger level builds more distrust into the relationship with the fans and the board and whoever is sort of sitting at the top of Manchester United, for good reason, because they like continually disappoint. I mean, it doesn't necessarily seem like Ole's contracts right now are set up for him to be leaving anytime soon. But it seems like he will be leaving sometime soon. It is kind of another short-ish stint with a manager at the club, but again, like every club kind of has, you know, shorter stints with managers these days, and especially successful clubs move through managers pretty quickly. But yeah, I think the initial vision was there. I think like execution now coming into maybe the end of days for Ole, pretty suspect. Yeah, I don't really know where United goes from here because they are set up to hold on to him for a while. And you know, there are some world-class managers out there that you can maybe start to list off names to come into the club, but it's hard to say who that would be. And it's a massive job. It's maybe like a historically massive job to come into this club
Yeah.
right now. And we're also speaking things into existence that like haven't happened yet. Ole obviously hasn't been sacked yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head by saying this is a massive job, not because it's just United, just because of where United are. Like
Everything.
like
Yeah.
Arsenal was a massive job because Arsenal had kind of hit rock bottom, and they chose someone who had like a very long-term vision. We know now that it's going to take a long time for that long-term vision to kind of come to fruition. But United have some assets, like some
Mhm.
serious assets on the pitch right now that you really have to like figure out how to put it together. It's a huge puzzle that I don't really get. Like I don't understand how
Yeah.
a lot of these players are gonna play together, which, if I may kind of segue into Ronaldo a little bit, I one of the thoughts I kind of had was when he was at Juventus, right? Last year was the first time Juve almost didn't qualify for Champions League in like ever. And also they didn't win the league. Um, and you know, their recent form without Ronaldo is like really incredible. But I kind of always ignored the whole narrative of like, oh, is Juventus better without Ronaldo? Because he's arguably the greatest goal scorer of all time. Lately, as I watch United, though, I kind of am starting to shift my mentality a bit away from that and think maybe a team at this point in Ronaldo's career is better without him as the focal point of the team. I think he's
I
a little
mean,
bit outgrown, and I think you can see it with like PSG. Like Messi is not the focal point of PSG, right? It's
Okay,
it's
well, they have
still
Neymar and Mbappe. Like,
okay, but you guys
there are
have
kind of
Rashford
levels.
and Greenwood and Cavani and Pogba and Bruno. Like, I do think that is a similar standard to be
I do
held
also
to.
I do think the Juve narrative is a little bit overblown because they have struggled a lot to start the season in Serie A. So, but it does seem like
Oh, and
Ronaldo might be.
I always thought the Juve stuff was overblown, but I don't know. Just watching this match, watching his last few matches, like he really does just kind of play for himself. he doesn't really give a damn about
I mean,
the team.
in a way, I think again it comes down to like how you manage him, which we've talked about. And Ole
Right.
clearly isn't the guy to be managed. I mean, he should have been off immediately after escaping red for
Yeah.
kicking with Jones or
Yeah, it was Curtis Jones.
Chata
Yeah.
Jones. Yeah, so like he should have been taken off so quickly after that, but didn't really contribute much again after that. The one thing I will say, there is one guy who I think is probably waiting on a different job right now, but who's managed Ronaldo very successfully since he's turned 30, and that's your man, Loic. Uh, Zizou could come in to United and do a job. I think that'd be a
That'd be
really
wild.
interesting.
That's like
Yeah.
everyone on social media is pushing for him. And this is like
LOL.
low key one of the things that like I hate about being a United fan is like I hate the fact that fans and like the rest of the world and people at the club feel that United is like bigger than a football club. I'm like, that is so annoying to me because like a manager like Ten Hag, who's like amazing tactically, legitimately could not take this job
Yeah.
because like the fans and the players wouldn't like revere him enough. Like only
Yeah.
someone like Zidane can come in and like humble Ronaldo, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I hate is like you need someone, and that's why I was a little surprised Mourinho actually wasn't a successful manager at United, but like you need someone that is such a powerful name that no matter who's on the team, they're going to listen to them, which is like the opposite of
And
Ole.
that's like so few managers also.
Yeah, and it just
Yeah.
makes it so hard to be a successful manager there because like you almost have to be like a legend. And that's so annoying because like it shouldn't be like that. And I think that like the narrative around United is like almost holding us back from doing successful things and like having successful experiments because maybe like Sir Alex is like the best and worst thing to ever happen to our club. Like he's created this expectation and this status that like nobody can ever live up to, right? And so nothing will be successful.
I felt that with Wenger as well. It's like you just can't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, maybe the Chelsea have had the perfect formula all along, man. But just rotate them every single Premier League title. But I mean, again, I think this is a moment where you want a strong board, but that's like the opposite of what you all have right now. And I'm feeling this a lot as an Everton supporter. This is me slipping an Everton mention into this pod because I think we'll avoid them for the rest of the rest of the podcast. But I mean, like there's now that we lost 5-2 to Watford at the weekend, there's all this like Benitez out talk again, and like every single sort of sensible Everton supporter then like always kind of comes back to how much our sort of board has failed us over the past 10 years, and it just leaves you as a supporter in such a helpless spot because like those people, the managers change, the players change, but like those people are always there for the most part, and that's really hard to live with, and maybe it's like time that the managers have to sit there every single weekend in front of and answer to thousands of people. The players have to play every single weekend, answer to thousands of people, but the people running the clubs, they can hide whenever they want. They barely talk to the media. Maybe it's time for those people to start being more vocal, more in the public eye, because they should answer to the fans out of everyone. I don't know.
Yeah, like they have just as much responsibility as anyone else at the club,
More,
realistically, if not more, like than even like the coach. The fact that they don't, I think it would be really interesting if like once a month the board had to like do a post-game interview like the coach does. Like that, like why not? Right?
Like a town hall.
Yeah, literally.
in like Augusta, Maine.
Oh
like Des Moines,
gosh.
Iowa, and you just have like farmers like coming up. I haven't seen my crop grow in years. So
who is
why you keep starting Ronaldo?
who was the swing vote who had the red sweater at the town
Oh,
hall.
Ken.
Ken,
Right? What was his name? Ken something?
I don't know, but can you imagine
No.
him just being at the board meeting for United, like trying to decide if Ole should stay? Like, oh, well, what do we think about this?
Ken Bone. Oh, shout out to
Ken
Ken Bone.
Bone, yeah,
We got
shout
a
out
we
Ken
got a
Bone.
Ken Bone mention on the pod.
I'd love to also jump into chatting a little bit about Liverpool.
Yeah, we really should. I know
Um,
we've talked about United for a while here.
because right now I think they're the main title contender. I know they're kind of hitting this stride of injuries, but damn, I think that is, I mean, they do have the best player in the world right now. He's actually unstoppable. And I gotta say, I feel bad for them that they're losing Naby for a little bit because he's been on fire. But it just seems like they have this formula where they can cycle in any of their midfield options and they're going to perform at that same level every time. Uh, Konate had a great game for a Premier League for like debut, not debut, but like
His second
first
start.
second
Yeah,
start
it's
at Old
crazy.
Trafford. Like that's huge. I don't know what else I really want to say about them other than like I hate them, but I love watching them play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That their depth definitely super slept on. I mean, Oxlade-Chamberlain, great player that everyone would be happy to
fantastic
have.
player.
Doesn't see the
Yeah,
field much, but obviously backline's been tested where depth this year. I mean, obviously Matip didn't see the pitch today. Gomez barely plays anymore. They have fullback options. Milner can slide in, but even up front, like Origi hasn't touched the pitch this year.
well,
Um,
so it'll be interesting because I was talking to Max about this. They're gonna have to do something in the January transfer window because of African Cup of Nations. Because Mane, Mo, Naby, Joel Matip are all gonna be gone. I don't think they need to get a center back or anything, but they're gonna need to look at people up front for sure.
get Minamino back in the side.
You get Minamino
Mina
back
Really?
on the side.
Minamini. Yeah,
But
no,
wait, quickly the week, like what you were saying about anybody slotting into the midfield, it's like that's what you get when you have a world-class manager, right? It's like
Yeah,
everyone plays their role so well. And I'm shocked that like is Thiago hurt right now? Because like,
he's hurt. Yeah,
okay, because he
Thiago
would
and
be like an
Fabinho.
automatic addition.
Yeah,
But even without them, like Naby Keita has just like flown into form so far this year in the last couple of
sick.
games, right? Like and like you do feel like anyone could like slot in there and just would make a meaningful addition. And that's the beauty of having Klopp at your team.
well, and think about the midfield injuries they have right now because they're without Thiago, they're without Fabinho, they're without Naby now, they're without
Harvey
Harvey
Elliott.
Elliott. Like we forgot about him. He played arguably like the best game I've seen a youngster play in so long against City. Or no, not City, Chelsea. Um, yeah, but they still have Hendo, they still have Milner who might be out because he's old, and Curtis is still like shaping up to be a world class midfielder at 20 and with little playing time. Like it's just pretty incredible to watch.
The one thing I will, maybe we can just quickly transition and talk about a couple of the other big sides here.
Yeah,
The one thing because I would, after a performance like today, the way they've looked the past couple of weeks, big win in Champions League during the week, I would agree with you that they're, the top title challenger to City and maybe like the favorite to win the title this year. But City and Chelsea look so good as well right now. I mean, City, first of all, I think that I was a little nervous about them because Kevin, as I think we've talked about, hasn't really looked like himself. I think he looked a lot more like himself during the Champions League this past week. He's finding time to get rest in matches like this weekend. He only played like 15 minutes. And then like Phil Foden is unbelievable right now. He's
yeah.
so good at the moment. So I think Kevin coming back into form, Phil Foden basically being like Kevin light right now.
I was gonna say he's their new focal point,
It's
and it's
unbelievable.
incredible. Yeah,
The diet
So
De Bruyne. Phil Foden.
De Bruyne. I like that. Yeah. So Gundogan coming back into form. Like they look so good right now. They won 4-1 at the Amex. Really tough place to play. Dominated the first half. And then Chelsea put 7 past Norwich, missing a bunch of guys as well. So like all
Granted,
these
Norwich
teams
is straight garbage this year,
awful, but
but
like yeah, I wrote in here like on aggregate 16-1 on goals for these top 3 title contenders this weekend, which is it's a big difference. So yeah,
well,
I think
and yeah, sorry, keep going.
I would say all 3 teams like perfectly poised for this run.
Well, and it's gonna make the I mean, obviously it's still so early in the season, so anything can happen. But the way it looks now, it's gonna make that 4th spot look really interesting because
Mhm.
at the moment, like I do see like I think Brighton's gonna drop off. As much as I enjoy watching them play, as much as I think they're good, I think they can't continue to be XG kings and not convert any of them.
Well, and now like no Welbeck, no Basuma.
Right.
Yeah, I think those are huge losses for
Those
them.
are huge. But I think what I noticed this weekend is there were 2 matches between 4 teams that I felt like are really evenly matched right now, and it's Arsenal, Villa, West Ham, Spurs. I think West Ham could snag that 4th spot at the moment. I don't think Leicester is really hitting that form quite yet. They look good, but I don't know. It seems like toss Leicester in there, right? Those 5 teams are 5 teams that could really just snag that 4th spot.
I mean, they went to Brentford today, as we've said, really tough place to play. And place Chelsea struggled week before or 2 weeks before, week before.
Yeah.
But they handled the challenge really, really well. Vardy came off at halftime, and they still managed to get the win in
They
the
also
second half.
just throttled us 4-2.
Yeah. So
That's
I
true.
think
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can't count Leicester out at all. They
plus
might actually be a better contender for that 4th spot. But
less Brentford look incredibly tough as well. Yeah, I all in all though, I agree with you. Like that race for 4th is going to be really interesting. Like between all those sides, I think West Ham, Tottenham, Arsenal. I'm maybe not so high on Villa, honestly.
yeah, they're kind of struggling.
But I think Leicester and even Brentford will push for that 4th spot, even ahead of us. Honestly, I think we're Everton are in a really tough spot right now. Even though we thought we were
So
going to push
many injuries.
for that spot, it's not even that it's just like our best players always get hurt, which is really tough. And then we have like our toughest run coming up the next few weeks. So yeah, not a good time for DCL to go down. But yes, that challenge 4th is going to be incredible, and then that title challenge, those teams are just built so unbelievably differently than any other clubs almost in the world, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because right
So
now, like looking at the table, there's 4 teams on 14 points in 6th or something. And like, it's still only 9 games in. There's 29 more games, right? So we got time.
all to play
Also-
for.
Also, I feel like in regards to like Chelsea, Pool, City, I feel like up until this year, I've been very hesitant to be like, oh, the Prem is like the best league in the world. And this year, I'm just like, I feel like it's not even close. Like the competition in this league is crazy. And especially like those 3 teams, and even like there, like you just said, there are like probably like 10 teams in the Prem that are legit and they're really, really talented.
Yeah.
Obviously the top leagues everywhere have a ton of talent, but I feel like this year has just set it apart. And just wait till Newcastle come charging. Oh my god.
Well, and like even
They
watching a
have
bit
4
of
points right now. Holy shit. Sorry.
It's the R. Kelly like meme or not me like gif, like I'm fighting for my life out here. But
Robert.
yeah. Oh,
Robert.
God. But yeah, no, even like watching a bit of El Clasico today, those 2 sides are not anywhere near the level that Liverpool is at the moment. And I think maybe the only side in the rest of the world we can say that is PSG. I mean, Real Madrid. Okay, Real Madrid maybe. Real Madrid maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Real
Just
Madrid.
because
Yeah.
Benzema is on absolute just drugs right now. I don't even know what
He's
to
on
say.
smoke.
Also, we didn't talk much about El Clasico because I know we didn't really watch it. I watched the first half, but they also, I mean, Vinicius Jr. looks like a top 5 winger in the world right now. Watching him play, I'm pretty blown away. But I do agree. Like, I don't think anyone's really contesting it because, I mean, we'll talk about this when I get to Meaty Man, but like Maxwell Cornet was a top player in the French league for a top 4 side in the French league, and he's playing for Burnley. So
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, I mean, perfect transition. Do you want to maybe talk about the man himself a little bit?
Yeah. So this week for our Meaty Man, we dive deep into relegation zone territory to find our Meaty Man. Burnley may be winless this season so far, and while their prospects of climbing out look measly, especially without Ben Mee, it's Maxwell Cornet who could be a little glimmer of hope. This summer, he was Burnley's most expensive signing ever for over 16.5 million, which is minuscule in the age of the great Newcastle takeover. And while at Lyon, he bagged 51 goals in 252 appearances, partnering with Memphis Depay, who's now at Barcelona. Now at Burnley, he has 3 goals in 5 appearances, salvaged a point for them against a stalwart Southampton side with his own brace. Welcome to the Premier League, Maxwell. It's nice to see another Lyon man come to the Prem. Maybe you can be the next Alex Lacazette.
A bench player for Arsenal.
He really needs to be. He really needs to be starting week in, week out.
You too can aspire to come off the bench.
Honestly, like also providing, not only very important goals for Burnley, but some much needed diversity in the squad.
He's like their only black player. That is the whitest team in the Prem easily.
It is Burnley. I'll leave it at that. Do want to get the turf more at some point, but yeah, I don't have much else to say about that.
Yeah.
Well, it should be a good week of matches. Unfortunately, no Champions League replaced by a little bit of Carabao Cup action. Arsenal got Leeds in the cup. I think there's 1 or 2 other interesting matchups. I know like QPR has Sunderland because we couldn't beat QPR in the round before. So it should be an absolute banger. West Ham City in Carabao should be a good one. But besides that, Friday, PSG Lille should be a good one in League. But then in the Prem, Leicester Arsenal at 12:30 Brit time. That'll be real early for y'all next week. That'll be
4:30.
4:30 kickoff on the West Coast Saturday. And then Spurs United, both teams looking to bounce back for the late slot on Saturday. And then on Sunday, got Villa West Ham, like battle of the Claret and Baby Blue teams. Nice.
Looking forward to it.
A decent little slate coming up next week. Definitely a little sad we're getting deprived of Champions League, but it'll be back soon enough. I think probably the biggest match there is Spurs and United trying to bounce back. I think for me that's got draw written all over it, like 2-2, super classic Spurs United draw.
0-0.
Yeah, 0-0. Seriously,
I don't know.
Not a top table clash, but Norwich Leeds could have some ramifications depending on where, if Leeds is able to pick it up. That could be a good game to watch. I feel like they'll both be like fighting for it.
Yeah, could have some fireworks as well. Both teams kind of go for it, so could definitely be open. Need to see our guy Billy Gilmore getting back on the side. There's I was hearing there's some like weird tension there right now with Fark and Gilmore and playing players on loan and stuff like that. Really just peculiar stuff, but one of my friends was telling me about Fark saying he's not there to like train other clubs players or something, which was kind of strange to refer to Billy Gilmore like that because he's
the Scottish Iniesta. What?
Yeah, he's like one of their best players, and they stink. So it's like, why put it on this 19-year-old midfield kid who like tries hard? But anyways, yeah, should be a good one. Should be good footy all around.
Well,
I'm excited for it.
Okay.
I'm excited to hopefully watch a better game next week. Christ alive. Wolves Everton on Monday at the late slot.
Classic.
That'll
Richarlison
be a
brace.
clash.
Easy. Richarlison brace loves playing Wolves. Yeah, should be good.
As bad as United were this week, oh my god, I went off in FPL.
dude,
Did you?
I need to.
Did you go
I'm
off
No.
more than
so-
Nico?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
you got
Solid just
79,
got all my
right?
points. But I had Smith Rowe in as well and Trent, who were both good. Those are pretty much where all my points came from. Antonio got a couple, but Solid just carried my entire team.
Dude, oh, you
Yeah.
captained him. I need to do
Oh
that.
God,
I don't
of
know
course
what
I
I did.
I forgot to captain him. Whoopsie.
I had Mason Mount though. So
That's
came in
huge.
clutch.
I
Yeah.
need to get Barnes out of my lineup, but like
Me
I've
too.
been hurt on transfers because I brought Lukaku in and Lukaku got hurt, so I had to use that transfer. But like I was like, okay, like I had Barnes in my lineup. Oh, Shaw's playing later. Like they'll just sub Shaw in after he plays. -1 points for Shaw. So yeah, I'm kind of down terrible right now, but that's okay. We'll
Hey, you're
work
not
it out.
You'll
Forrest.
rebound.
You're not Forrest.
I am not Forrest. Yeah.
You know, Forrest
Yeah.
actually is not great, but he still he got 50 plus points this week, probably just because of Mace. But I feel like he's within striking distance, if we're being honest.
Of me, yeah, probably.
I like that he still has Harry
Excellent.
Kane captained.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you can tell he's not switching
this
that lineup that
is
much.
Such a bad week for me. Such a bad week for me. Well, at least my my kits are still banging. Yeah. Got the hooped brown socks. Yeah. I'll have to post it to social media so that people can see it. They can rate our kits.
We should we should have a kit rating. I'm down.
Anyways, but yeah, Paul, as you mentioned, you went off, go off, King, and that means you get our final meaty bite.
I wish this meaty bite could be a little more positive. But I mean, to be honest, like what is there more to say? I feel like this is probably one of the worst results I've watched as a United fan. I said earlier, it was literally so bad. I was like laughing at the screen. I was like, okay, this isn't real. But then you look over at Ole's bloodshot eyes and you're like, this is real. I think as we've realized, it's just, we always knew he was out of his depth, but it hasn't really been this bad before. But I think it's finally time to say goodbye to our beloved PE teacher. While I could go on and on about Ole, I would also love to like praise Liverpool. As much as I hate them, Klopp has been great. Salah is playing like the best player in the world, and he's also a really, really likable, humble guy to put the cherry on top, as he's just great. So maybe a bittersweet moment today because we have a terrible loss, but it might mean that the end of Ole's reign. So we might look back on this day and think it was a great one. So I'm fingers crossed that that's going to be our future.
Yeah, I hope Ole stays.
Okay.
I'm having a great time over here.
Me too. I'm down to finish above United.
Ole's at the wheel, baby. Let's go.
Anyways, cheers to that, Paul. Cheers to your meaty bite. Cheers to the Meat Pies podcast. That's it. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Meat Pies podcast. If you like what you heard, subscribe, follow wherever you're listening to us. Feel free to leave us a review if you're on Apple Podcasts. Make sure it's a goodie, or else we'll send big mean dunk out to find you. You can find the Meat Pies podcast just about anywhere you get your podcasts. New episodes just like this one being released every single Monday. So make sure you stay on the lookout. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Meat Pies Pod. Seriously, subscribe to us on YouTube. We are a good looking group of guys right now. I mean, I
You're
don't know any
handsome.
other way to put it. Like, we look good. So that's all I got. Enjoy the rest of your week. As Paul always says, smash that like button.
Smash it. Abuse that
Smack
like
it.
button.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that's the right choice of words, but
Up the pies.
Up the Ole.
pies? Up the Ole.